All right, everyone, welcome back. Season 2.
Yes.
I hope you're as pumped as I am, because week 1 in the CCBA, oh man, it was absolutely wild.
Yeah, it was crazy.
We saw some major shakeups, expansion teams, rivalry eras coming to an end,
Right.
all those new captains trying to prove themselves.
Yeah.
But honestly,
Yeah.
don't care to talk about the feel-good stories, right?
No.
Diving deep into the drama,
Exactly.
the disappointments,
Yep.
and maybe even exposing some questionable decisions along the way.
Ooh. Like that.
So are you ready to break down these opening games?
Absolutely. There were definitely some surprises, and let's just say not all of them were good.
Exactly. So let's start with the teams that stumbled out of the gate a little bit.
Okay.
The LeSushines and the Blue Tide, right?
Yeah.
Two big names with high expectations, and both ended up with an L in their first game.
I know.
What happened?
Well, I think it's safe to say that both teams are still trying to find their rhythm, especially with all the changes in the league. Yeah.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Some of their struggles might go back to those draft day decisions.
Okay, you're talking about those picks that had everyone scratching their heads.
Precisely. With the LeSushines, the tension between Captain Jackson Hadden and Jeremy Stevenson is, it's impossible to ignore.
Right.
Remember, Stevenson was the XD1 star, known for his explosive scoring ability.
Right.
Everyone expected him to light up the CCBA.
He was supposed to be their secret weapon.
I know.
But so far,
Not so much.
not so much.
And that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
His performance in the first game was lackluster,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Right.
Word on the street is that Hadden is already regretting
Oh.
passing on Isaiah Perry,
Ooh.
who, might I add,
Uh-huh.
is absolutely dominating for the Blackjacks right now.
Oh. Ouch. Talk about add an insult to injury. Do you think that draft day decision is already coming back to haunt Hadden?
It's definitely putting a strain on the team dynamics.
Yeah. And remember, captaincy isn't just about picking the best players.
Right.
It's about managing personalities and creating a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
Hadden might have a lot more to worry about than just Stevenson's poor shooting.
Okay, so draft day drama might be brewing for the LeSushines. What about the Blue Tide? They also took a pretty hard loss to the Red Warriors.
Well, let's not forget, their captain, Jayton Herx, boldly placed the Blue Tide in second place
Right.
in his preseason power rankings.
Well,
After that loss, let's just say his predictions aren't looking too accurate.
yeah, that's got to sting, but maybe we should cut him some slack. It's his first time as captain.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of pressure to live up to the Blue Tide's legacy.
true.
Right.
But even with all that talent on the roster, they just didn't seem to click.
Yeah.
Their star rookie, Seth Logan,
Ah.
had a decent game, but not the show-stopping performance everyone was anticipating.
Yeah.
You know, the whole is he Greg Oden or Kevin Durant debate is still raging.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. I know, right?
Right now, it's looking more Oden than Durant.
Yeah,
And that has to be putting some pressure on the kid.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned Dane Moulter, another high-profile pick,
Right.
who's known for being, shall we say, a bit intense.
Yes.
If he can't channel that energy effectively, it could become a liability for the Blue Tide.
So we've got two teams struggling to find their footing,
Yeah.
some potentially disastrous draft picks,
Uh-huh.
and captains feeling the heat.
I know.
But let's move on to a more positive story.
That-
How? Can we talk about the Blackjacks?
Yes.
Nobody expected them to do much, but they pulled off a huge upset against the LeSushines.
That was definitely the biggest shocker of week 1.
I know.
And honestly, their success might go beyond just strategy and talent.
Yeah.
There's a certain energy about that team.
You're talking about Noah Brooks' leadership. He just seems like the kind of guy who can rally a team.
More than that, I think it's the influence of players like Troy the Righteous McCullough.
Right. He may not have the flashiest stats,
Yeah.
but his presence on the court and in the locker room
Right.
seems to be galvanizing the entire team.
There's something to be said for that intangible, that spark
Yeah,
that can ignite a whole team.
I agree.
And it seems like Troy the Righteous brought that spark to the Blackjacks.
Exactly. You know, after their win, Brooke mentioned that he didn't need to shoot much because he could just dish the ball out to his teammates.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes about the trust he has in his squad
Oh, yeah.
and the confidence they have in each other.
It's a classic underdog story, right?
Yeah.
Overlooked players stepping up, a captain with a vision,
Uh-huh.
and a surprise element like Troy the Righteous bringing it all together.
Oh, I love it.
Me too. But unfortunately, not every team can be the Blackjacks.
Right.
Let's go back to those draft day decisions.
Okay.
That might be causing more trouble than triumph.
Yes, let's revisit the case of Isaiah Perry.
Oh, right.
Remember he made that controversial switch from center to guard? And a lot of analysts saw it as a...
And right now, he's not exactly in the critics.
No, he's not.
It's got to be tough being a rookie with that much pressure on your shoulders.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can handle the heat or if he'll crumble under the weight of expectations.
That's the beauty of the CCBA, isn't it?
Right.
You never know who's going to rise to the occasion
Yeah.
and who's going to fade into the background.
And sometimes the most unlikely players can become the heroes of the story.
It's true.
Speaking of unlikely heroes, we can't forget about the CCBA's resident enigma,
Oh, yes.
Troy the Righteous.
The man, the myth, the legend.
I'm dying to know more about this guy. What's his story? Where did he come from?
I know.
And how did he end up on the Blackjacks?
Well, that's a story for another time.
Right. I guess we'll have to wait for the next installment of our deep dive to get the full scoop on Troy the Righteous. But before we wrap up this part of our analysis,
Okay.
let's take a closer look at the other teams who surprised us in Week 1.
All right.
The Red Warriors, for example, seem to be exceeding everyone's expectations.
They're definitely a team to watch.
Yeah.
Their captain, Logan Toby, has quietly built a solid squad.
Yeah.
And their win against the Blue Tide was no fluke.
Let's break down that victory and see what we can learn from their strategy.
Okay.
Maybe there's a lesson in there for the teams who are currently licking their wounds.
Sounds like a plan. Let's dive in and see what made the Red Warriors tick in their opening game.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
We're about to uncover the secrets behind their success
Mm-hmm.
and see if those strategies can be replicated by other teams.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Let's listen to a message from our sponsors.
Looking for a place to connect, laugh, and experience something real? Meet us this Sunday morning at Christ Church Mandarin Campus. Choose between the 9:15 a.m. or 11 a.m. service, and let's make it a morning to remember.
Welcome back. Let's get right back to those Red Warriors. Their win against the Blue Tide was a masterclass in teamwork and strategy.
Yeah, I was really impressed by how they played together. It wasn't just one guy carrying the team. They were all contributing.
Exactly. It seems like their captain, Logan Toby, has fostered a real sense of unity. And let's not forget, he has a history with RB Omerbashi, who absolutely dominated the boards in that game.
Oh yeah, Omerbashi was a beast. Second chance points galore. Makes you wonder if drafting a former teammate was part of Toby's strategy all along.
Right.
That familiarity could be a huge advantage.
It's certainly an interesting angle, and it speaks to the importance of chemistry and trust, especially in a high-pressure environment like the CCBA. But let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and revisit those teams who are still trying to find their identity.
You mean the LeSushines and the Blue Tide?
Yes.
Yeah, they've got some work to do if they want to turn things around.
Absolutely. They have the talent,
Yeah.
but they need to figure out how to utilize it effectively.
Right.
We talked about the Haddon-Stevenson drama.
Uh-huh.
But the Blue Tide also has its fair share of internal struggles. Can Seth Logan live up to the hype? Will Dane Moulter's intensity become an asset or a liability? These are the questions that will define their season.
It's like they're missing that spark, that intangible element
Yeah,
that can elevate a team from good to great.
right.
You know, like what the Blackjacks have with Troy the Righteous.
It's fascinating how a player who doesn't necessarily dominate the stat sheet
Yeah.
can have such a profound impact on a team's overall performance.
Right.
It speaks to the importance of leadership, hustle, and a positive attitude.
Maybe the LeSushines and the Blue Tide need their own Troy the Righteous to shake things up.
Perhaps. But let's not forget, the season is young.
Right?
There's plenty of time for these teams to adjust, adapt, and find their groove. Remember, the CCBA is all about evolution.
True. But speaking of evolution,
Yeah.
this season already feels different, doesn't it? It's like the old guard has been challenged
Yeah.
and a new era is dawning.
That's a great observation. The expansion teams are definitely shaking things up, and we're seeing a lot of young talent emerging.
Yeah,
It's an exciting time to be a CCBA fan.
absolutely. But with all this change comes a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
What are your predictions for the rest of the season? Who do you think will be the contenders and who will fall by the wayside?
Well, it's still early, but I think the Red Warriors and the Blackjacks have a real shot at making some noise this season.
Yeah,
They've got that underdog mentality,
right.
and they're playing with a lot of heart.
I'm with you on that, but I'm also curious to see how the LeSushines and the Blue Tide respond to their early setbacks.
Yeah.
Will they crumble under pressure, or will they rise to the occasion?
That's the million-dollar question. Only time will tell.
Right.
But one thing's for sure, this season is going to be a wild ride.
Okay, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about some of the individual players who are making waves. Obviously, we have to start with Isaiah Perry.
Oh, yeah.
His transformation from center to guard is the stuff of legends.
It's truly inspiring. He was doubted, criticized, and even ridiculed for his decision, but he's proven everyone wrong.
Right.
His dedication and perseverance are a testament to the human spirit.
And what about Zeke Malsos? Talk about a draft day steal.
Wow.
He's playing like a seasoned veteran, not a late-round pick.
I know.
Noah Brooke deserves some serious credit for spotting his potential.
Absolutely. Moklas is a prime example of why scouting and player development are so crucial in the CCBA. But let's not forget about some of the other unsung heroes who are making a difference.
You talking about guys like Daniel Gajeski of the Red Warriors?
Yes.
He was absolutely clutch in their win against the Blue Tide.
Exactly. He's another player who's exceeded expectations. And then there's Ethan Miller, also of the Red Warriors, a late-round pick who's proven that depth and role players are just as important as star power.
It's all about finding those hidden gems and putting them in the right positions to succeed. But let's be honest, no CCBA season would be complete without a little bit of controversy.
We've got to talk about those off-court dramas, the stat-keeping debacle, the seat and arrangement debate.
Right.
These incidents have sparked some important conversations about fairness, respect, and the evolving culture of the CCBA.
It's like the league is at a crossroads trying to balance its traditions with the need for progress and inclusivity.
It's a delicate balance. And it's going to require open dialogue, empathy, and a willingness to adapt.
These conversations aren't always easy.
No.
But they're essential for the growth and sustainability of the league.
I agree.
We need to ensure that everyone involved in the CCBA feels valued and respected, regardless of their gender, background, or role.
It's about creating an environment where everyone can thrive and contribute to the success of the league.
Right.
And speaking of success,
Let's circle back to the team that embodies that spirit right now, the Blackjacks.
They're the epitome of the underdog story,
Yes.
proving that anything is possible with hard work, dedication, and a little bit of magic.
And let's not forget the secret weapon that seems to be fueling their success.
I know.
Troy the Righteous.
Ah, yes. The man who embodies the heart and soul of the CCBA.
Yes.
I'm dying to know more about this guy.
Sure.
What's his story? Where did he come from, and how did he end up on the Blackjack?
Well, that's a story for another time, but trust me, it's a good one.
All right. I guess we'll have to wait for the next installment of our deep dive to get the full scoop on Troy the Righteous. But before we wrap up this part of our analysis,
Okay.
let's take a moment to appreciate the beauty of the CCBA.
Yes.
It's more than just a game, it's a community.
Exactly. It's a gathering of people who share a passion for basketball, competition, and camaraderie.
And that sense of community shines through in all the little details. The trash talk, the celebrations, the post-game handshakes,
Right.
even the heated debates about stat keeping and seating arrangements.
It's a reminder that the CCBA is a living, breathing entity, constantly evolving and adapting.
So as we head into part 3 of our deep dive,
Yeah.
let's keep those conversations going. What are your thoughts on this season so far?
Right.
Who are you rooting for, and what are you most excited to see unfold?
We want to hear from you, share your insights, predictions, and hot takes.
All right.
The CCBA is back, and it's more exciting than ever.
All right, we're back. For the final stretch of our CCBA season opener deep dive. Feels like we've already covered so much ground, from those shocking upsets
Oh, yeah.
to the questionable draft day decisions.
Right.
And of course, all the off-court drama that's got everyone talking.
I know, right?
But before we wrap things up, I
Yeah.
want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
The evolving landscape of the CCBA. We're seeing a real shift in power dynamics this season, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The old guard has been challenged, new stars are emerging, and those expansion teams are making their presence known. It feels like anything is possible right now, which makes it so exciting for us fans.
Exactly. And this unpredictability makes our job even more intriguing.
Right.
Trying to predict who will rise to the top and who will fall by the wayside is a real challenge this season.
I know.
Well, let's put on our analyst hats for a moment
Okay.
and try to make sense of this chaos.
All right.
If you had to pick one team that embodies the spirit of this new era in the CCBA, who would it be?
Without a doubt, it has to be the Blackjacks. They were written off before the season even started, projected to be at the bottom of the league, and yet here they are, defying all expectations.
I know.
And proven that
teamwork, heart, and a little bit of that Troy the Righteous magic can go a long way.
I love that you keep bringing up Troy the Righteous. He's become this enigmatic figure.
Right.
Almost like a folk hero for the CCBA.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder, is he the key to the Blackjacks' success? Or are they just teamstering on all cylinders right now?
It's probably a combination of both. They've got a talented roster, a smart captain in Noah Brooke, and then you add that extra spark, that X factor that Troy the Righteous brings. It's a recipe for something special.
Yeah.
But here's the real question. Can they sustain this momentum?
That's the million-dollar question.
I know.
The CCBA is a marathon, not a sprint. We've seen teams start strong and then fade away.
Right.
Will the Blackjacks be able to maintain this level of play, or will they succumb to the pressure?
Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The Blackjacks have injected a much-needed dose of excitement into the league. They're the underdogs everyone is rooting for, and their success proves that anything is possible in the CCBA.
And that's what makes this league so captivating. It's a constant reminder that we should never underestimate the power of hard work, determination, and maybe even a little bit of luck.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. With all the changes, surprises, and drama we've witnessed in just 1 week, what are you most excited to see unfold this season? What storylines are you following? Which players are you rooting for?
Let us know in the comments. Hit us up on social media and join the conversation. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the CCBA, so stay tuned for more analysis, insights, and maybe even a few more surprises along the way.